Hello and welcome to the Comics Pals review of Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness. Although I guess it's technically not Doctor Strange 2, it's just Multiverse of Madness, but whatever. Uh, all the pals are on deck to talk about the latest release in the MCU. My most anticipated Marvel movie of the year, for sure. Um, I can't wait to get into this. This is a huge movie. We talked on the main show about how well it's been doing sales wise, but that doesn't matter, right? We're here. We're here to talk about the what matters most, which is our opinion on it. So, first things first. There's a way we always start this, which is by playing the Rotten Tomatoes game. So, what that is I am going to pull up the Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie. And we're going to go into basically, we're all just going to guess, or they all are going to guess the tomato meter score and the audience score. Whoever is the closest without going over wins. Pretty simple. So, who wants to go first?
I will go first.
Okay.
I'll get out of the way because I'm never sure of my answers.
Preach.
I'm going to say when it comes to MCU fans and the audience score, they're a bunch of fucking marks, all right? This movie gets a 92 audience score. I think for the critic score, I think it could be a little more mixed bag. I think this movie is a bit of a mixed bag. And we'll get into it. But for critics, I'm going to give it an 82. So
wow, okay.
Oh, it was 82 and 92, right?
Correct, yep.
All right, cool. Next.
I'm going to go with critics 86 and the audience, they are marks. People seem to like Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange. I'm going to give it a 93. I'm going to be that guy.
Fucking $1 to me, Bob. Shit.
Yeah.
The audience is marks, right? We can all agree with that. I think with the way some of the characters are handled, as well as the introduction of a new character, I don't know, I'm trying not to spoil at this point. I'm going to say the audience, I'm going to go a little lower. I'm going to say 88.
88. That was audience. You did audience right there?
Audience, yeah.
Okay. And critics?
Critics, I think, are going to be harsher on a Sam Raimi film because he is a B movie guy. So I think they are going to nail him to the wall.
All right.
I want to say like a 74.
All right. So let me just make sure I have this right. Tyler, 82 critic, 92 audience.
C, yep.
Marco, 86 critic, 93 audience. And Kale, 74 critic, 86 audience.
Yes.
All right. So that means that Kale wins.
No fucking way.
Yep, absolutely. Because the tomato meter with 308 reviews is 76. So that's the critic score.
Whoa.
So Kale just underneath that. But then on the audience score, which is just blown out, over 5,000 ratings, 88. So just underneath that as well.
Whoa, dude.
Yep.
Good job.
Wow.
Well done.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Before we get into the review, which we are doing full spoilers, by the way. So if you have not seen it, you're going to want to go catch the movie.
All of it.
And then come back, unless you don't care, which is amazing. And we love you for it. Before we get into that, do want to let you guys know how you can support the podcast. The Patreon page is patreon.com/thecomicspals. We've got various tiers, and we're giving away for your hard-earned money. A lot of really great content, what we think is really great. So we've got newsletters up there, our special show, Palin Around, which is kind of like an after dark type of thing. We talk about whatever we want. Make sure you guys give that a look at least. If you want to catch our main show or our comics review show live, tune in at twitch.tv/thecomicspals, Saturdays at 10:15 Eastern AM for the main show. We talk about movie news, comic book news, all that kind of jazz. Thursdays for Pals Pulls, that's where we review 4 of the biggest books that dropped that week from Marvel, DC, Boom, Image, you know it. youtube.com/thecomicspals. Subscribe for free. Like the video, share it with your friends. All of that is free to do. Helps us out a lot more than it costs you. Our most recent book club is Doctor Strange The Oath. Go check that book out. Pick that up. Listen to our book club. And, watch the movie again. See if it changes how you feel about it. And if you want to continue the conversation about the movie, join our Discord server, where currently we are discussing it with full spoiler tags to prevent any spoilers from leaking out for people who haven't quite seen it yet. We've got a great community over there, and we'd love for you to be a part of it.
We do better than even the Supreme Court.
Oh, man, that was good, Marco.
The spicy one.
Yeah, I like it. So let's just jump right in. This movie takes place after No Way Home. It takes place after WandaVision and the events that took place there. And other than that, there's no real need to get too semantic with where it lines up. I'm sure there are other people who will be dealing with that, but that's what you need to have seen. And No Way Home, maybe not even. Loki will help you understand what's going on. WandaVision is the direct story influence on this, but that's it. And you have to know who Doctor Strange is and all that stuff. That's it. So as far as the MCU goes, at this point, pretty low bar of entry, I would say. When you compare it to like Avengers movies and things like that.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So we start things off with a dream sequence that we don't know is a dream, but it is, and it's a version of Doctor Strange. It doesn't look quite like ours, and a new character, America Chavez, being chased by a demon, and it's like it looks like it's in the dark dimension or somewhere like that. And it's this really like weird looking monster, and Doctor Strange is willing to sacrifice America to acquire the what's the book? The
Book of Vishanti.
Thank you, the Vishanti book.
Yeah.
And that is like one of the 2 major MacGuffins in the movie. It will allow a sorcerer supreme to basically be able to do whatever they want. We learned that this is a dream that Doctor Strange is having. And yeah, a quote, air quotes there again, of course. But then it's not really a dream because it's real. America pops into our, universe, and Doctor Strange and Wong, who is now the Sorcerer Supreme, have to help her face Gargantos, not Shumagaroth. Couldn't use that name.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
trying
There's,
to think
there's
of
a-
that name since the movie.
There's a rights issue, right, with the name Shumagaroth?
Yes.
It's owned by the people who
Yes.
own Conan the Barbarian, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Shuma easily could have been a main/secondary villain in a Doctor Strange movie if they were allowed to use the character. But since they couldn't, they gave us the aesthetic anyway with Gargantos. Pretty hot way to start the movie, I would say. Get a nice meaty action scene up front.
I would say right at the beginning, I'm like, oh, this is a Raimi movie.
Yes.
When it like just those the shots of them on the balcony, like the crowd at the wedding, just like all shocked. It was just screaming Spider-Man 2 to me. Even like the way they're fighting on the building with it crumbling, I'm like, oh, that's the Doc Ock, Aunt May thing going on.
What said it to me was when they're in the dimension and he's got the America, in its tentacles or its magic or whatever, and she's chained up. I went, oh, you can feel the strings there. That I like that.
Once in that opening Garganto scene, or I guess the opening one, like that's where I'm like, oh, okay, I think I like this already. He
It's
was a kind of a good start. I found him to be likable too, even though he doesn't like himself in the movie. Maybe that's why. But
must be nice.
yeah,
I've been working really hard to let myself enjoy Marvel films for what they are. And so what I had to really do is when I sit down to watch it and go, okay, I see what they're doing. Let it go. You know, and in this one I said, okay, I see what they're doing. They're putting us in the middle of something, and then I was lost. I drifted off and I was in the movie, and boy, I did not come out.
Oh shit. Okay. The first thing that I noticed was America and Doctor Strange speaking Spanish, and I'm like, oh, cool. I wonder if this is gonna be if this is gonna be a bit, and they're gonna carry it through like this scene into like whatever it was.
Marco, how was Benedict Cumberbatch's Spanish? I couldn't tell.
You couldn't really understand it.
Better than his
but,
American accent?
worse, I would say.
Oh, that's saying something. Okay.
Yeah. But for me, one of the big things when I really wanted to get invested in America was when reading her comic was the Spanish aspect and then how they treated her mothers. And so off the bat, them opening with her speaking Spanish and then immediately switching to English felt a little disappointing to me. That was my first thought, like right out the gate with that, just because I would have wanted them to stick to one or the other and plow through on that scene and then give us flavors and give us, whatever else it might be. But it felt like she speaks Spanish, she's Spanish. And then now now we have this character context, continue forward with the story. That was the first thing that brought me out of the film. And then the fight sequence brings me back in. I think the rest of it was done really well. But there were some moments with just her character that I felt like I couldn't get invested outright.
I mean, for her, it screamed Puerto Rican to me. It felt like she only speaks Spanish when the older people are speaking Spanish to her and speaks English everywhere else. I'm like, oh, that's just New York Puerto Rican that I grew up with. Like, that's the feeling I got from it. But like, that's just how I view America Chavez as a character too. But
Yeah, I really liked America, actually. America Chavez was one of the standouts for this movie, I thought. And I wasn't sure how I was going to feel. But I really enjoyed her character. I think that obviously she's not the star of the show and she's not the name on the marquee, but I think as a way to introduce her to the MCU, as a way to, create a potentially, a member of the Young Avengers, all that kind of jazz, I think this was a pretty good introduction. She's important. She's got a great power set that's going to be relevant for this phase of the MCU. So yeah, I thought the actor who played her was Zoe. I know I'm gonna butcher it. I'm sorry.
maybe Marco, you want to try that one?
Let's see. What is it?
It's Ziotl, I want to believe.
Yeah, Zolchil Gomez, something like that.
Xochitl Gomez, I believe.
Zokitil?
I think, yeah.
Zokitil? I don't know.
Sure.
Well,
Spent too much time on it already. Let's keep going.
she did an amazing job. I thought.
Is she Mexican in this?
I don't know.
I mean, it's a Disney movie. You think they can differentiate between the different types of?
Well, because she says "way," and that's Mexican. That's like slang.
It could be. In the comics, she's Puerto Rican, right?
Yeah, in the comics she's Puerto Rican. So if they change that, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah,
My Puerto Ricans, yo.
Going back
That's
to
reasonable.
that ranking list now.
I didn't like her character. I think she fair, right? She didn't get enough, or she's not the star of the social because of that. She's not gonna get all the lines. She's not gonna get all these moments necessarily. But half the movie is just her mouth agape and I don't know that I can do this. And that's most of what we get from her. And I think that there would have been a better way to reach the ultimate buildup of I'm going to punch you through to this other dimension and you're going to have this experience that changes your mind on the whole take. I think there could have been a better lead up to that. It didn't feel very compelling for me. I wasn't sold on her and that journey for this part of the movie.
Yeah, not to be one of those people that's like, oh, I want my comics people, my movie people, comics accurate. But I felt like she could have used a little bit of that characterization.
A bit more.
Yeah. I think the cockiness that Comics America Chavez has really works for that character. Because it's a real boldness that you don't really see in a lot of characters of her type. And I still think they could have played America with the same beats and the same vehicle or whatever, and I think it still could have worked.
I'm not so sure, because the way that they prevent her from being able to solve the movie is her fear.
Yep.
And not having that confidence. And she builds that confidence throughout the film by surviving, but also, through some of Doctor Strange's tutelage. And it's only in the end, when she does have that confidence, that she's able to solve the film. So I don't think you can actually use her the way they want to if she's the character from the comics that we love at the start. But I do think that after this, if she doesn't develop the way you're talking about, which I believe that that's where they're going to go, then I would say that they've failed the character. But for now, I think it makes sense for the film.
I think there are even inklings of that confidence and that cockiness throughout this. I think like the way she traverses the multiverse, like how she just grabs food, like it's there. It's just not in her power set, which I think is fine, because that's the MacGuffin, right? Would that be the word? She's essentially a MacGuffin for this entire movie. She's the key, the item. That the whole plot revolves around. But I liked her. I don't think they overused her either, which I think.
Thinking about that too.
I think it kind of worked for her, because I think they didn't overly do her character where, like, I feel like they've done that in the comics where she's a little too much, I think she was the right amount here. And I think the Xochitl was super charming as the character. Yeah. Like, I would gladly see this character interact with the other young Avengers we've been kind of seeded the past couple years. Her, Kate, and Yelena, give me it. Let me see that.
I definitely liked the way she shows her vulnerability after Strange does. When he has they step into the memory thing, and it shows the moment when Christine gives him the watch or whatever, and he's like, no, there's no time for this. We shouldn't have done this. And she shows him, her mother's. I really like that sort of exchange.
Yeah, I agree. I think she was a highlight for me, for sure.
It would have been nice if they leaned into the gayness a little more. It really was just her mom's, and then like America had a pride flag pin, and I think her jacket said "Amor es amor," which is love is love. But again, typical Disney fashion. It's understated. Maybe you can explore that in the future, which I hope they definitely lean into. But
haven't there been all sorts of articles and stuff about how it's banned in so many places because of a gay scene?
Because of 12 seconds.
It would have been her mom's there.
I think it was China. They wanted Marvel to cut that scene by half, 6 seconds, and Marvel said no. Disney said no, and so they said, okay, well, we're not putting the movie out.
For that bravery.
They did it. They did it, folks. They solved it.
Yeah.
That origin scene, that was goofy as fuck.
But that's super comic accurate too.
Is that comic accurate?
Yeah.
No
she
way.
discovers her powers when she's afraid as a kid, and like instead of it being her mom's though, it was her sister, I believe, where she just shoots her sister off into a different dimension.
Yeah. Okay, I recall that part. I don't recall the B, but I do remember her mother's being sort of pillars for her strength or whatever, and
I'm-
then she kind of steps off into the multiverse.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was a bee, but it was something that scared her. Which I guess as a kid, getting stung by a bee, that scared the shit out of me. So like, it makes sense to me.
How did you guys take that? Because my theater started cracking up.
I thought it was a little silly. Yeah,
I don't.
I
To
don't
be
think- I don't
totally
remember.
honest, I don't even remember this.
Really?
Yeah.
It was the 12 scene. There was the 12 seconds, Sean.
maybe China's right. Maybe they could have. They just
cut it,
they
yeah.
just
China
did it the
just
wrong
wanted
way.
China just wanted to do some better editing, I guess.
So, pretty quickly. Actually, I want to point out they had the dead Doctor Strange, that America like unintentionally brought with her through, and they buried him. Which, like, as soon as that happened, like, it's a Sam Raimi movie. That character is coming back, right?
Oh,
Chekhov zombie.
I didn't even think about it, but when it happened, I went,
Of course.
of course.
Yeah, same.
Oh, and it was so that for me was the thing that went, well, this is it. This is the one. I was like, you're telling me we're gonna watch the main character of the film in bad zombie makeup. We're gonna watch him beat the bad guy in bad zombie makeup, and that's a huge Marvel film. Are you kidding me? This is it.
I mean, we're
This
getting
is
right
the
to the
one.
end at this point. But and give the heroic speech to our heroine in the middle of that as his body's
Yeah.
decaying more. Yeah. Can we just get out of the way first? Like, what is everyone's history with Sam Raimi? I feel like I can't talk about this movie without talking about Sam Raimi.
Spider-Man.
That's
oh,
all?
you guys are
I
missing.
think
out.
I think I see why me and Kel have so much enjoyment. Evil Dead 1 and 2 are some of my favorite movies of all time.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh man,
Watch. Okay,
they're
you're not doing anything today, Marco. Go watch that movie.
Fair enough.
yeah. Watch Evil Dead and then watch Evil Dead 2, and don't be fooled. They're the same movie, but they're not the same movie.
Yeah. It is. There are direct references to those two movies and Army of Darkness in this.
Yeah,
With shots, with musical cues, with characters, it feels like in some points.
what is your favorite?
I think for me, my favorite part, like my favorite
Raimi.
Raimiism,
What's your favorite Raimi? Yeah.
I like the first Evil Dead. It's just classic for me.
I think my favorite might be Drag Me to Hell.
Good one. Yeah.
There's a
I feel like I
talking
gotta give you
goat,
guys. Yeah.
the climax of the film is literally the main character being pulled into hell from the ground.
That's a Raimiism. Ends the movie on a shock, and that's it. You don't get anything. Yeah.
Oh, it's
which this
tremendous.
movie does. Oh man, it's just the constant piano crash we would get throughout this movie in terms of sound.
Yes,
And I do
love
want to talk
that.
about Danny Elfman because Danny Elfman fucking killed it, like always. But the piano crash to cue horror, the POV shots that we would get like slithering throughout Wanda's
Yeah.
home, pure like classic Evil Dead. It's the twitchiness of everything. You know, when Strange becomes a zombie, when Wanda crawls out of the gong. The souls of the damned are essentially deadites. Like those are literally deadites. The way they're cackling and everything. This felt like Marvel finally letting a director do his own thing, and it still was an MCU movie, but like this felt like a Sam Raimi movie through and through, which I loved every minute of. I like with you, Cal. Once I recognized that, I was in. I was like, "Yep, all right, cool, let's go for it."
There were a few things for me, the transitions in particular, where like it would fade in and out with different things that stuck out for sure.
Yeah,
That felt a little like older, like
old B movie.
yeah, antiquated kind of.
Yeah.
I was
Specifically
like,
when you're learning about the dream walking, right, where it's like intertwined with. Yeah, dude, I loved it.
come in
That
and,
was
like,
crazy.
People fade in and out,
And the
It was-
music
it was
in the
done
background
well.
was like rock music, but like not current at all. It was
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I noticed things that felt similar to Spider-Man, like the opening fight with Gargantos felt very Spider-Man. Even the stuff with him and Christine, her wedding and stuff, that felt like a scene, from Spider-Man. So I definitely got all that. Obviously, a lot of the other references are lost on me. I think part of the problem, because I didn't love this movie. I liked it. I thought it was good, but I did not love it. We actually just did our rankings for all the MCU movies, which you can check out on our most recent episode of the Comics Pals. But I put it in B. And I think part of that is due to the director. The Sam Raimi-ness of it, I think, took away for me at times. There were points at which it's like, okay, yeah, you would definitely go, like any Marvel movie would go for the joke here. And this one does too, but I just don't like the joke, or I just don't like the way things would develop, or the way that some of that stuff would be visually shown. So I think part of it was actually the Sam Raimi. And I guess if you're a big fan of him, then those things might work.
The pacing, I think, for me in particular, was something that I had trouble getting around, because I thought the first fight as an introduction made a lot of sense, worked well, but when we get to them attacking the temple and like the conversation with Wanda, like all of that felt super just like it happened and like it happened in the span of 10-15 minutes.
By the time Wanda reveals who she is and what she's doing, and her house isn't real and her orchard isn't real and all that, I sort of had to like take a second, because it felt like it hit so quickly that I was a bit like, why is this now? What has happened?
I thought I missed something. Like between those scenes, I thought that I was like, wait, did I, like, what just happened? Because I don't recall this concept here.
I think
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that's my biggest issue with the movie too, is does this negate the arc that she had in WandaVision? Some would say yes. I would say the after credit scene of WandaVision negates what happens in WandaVision. Maybe not negates, but it's her with the Darkhold, and you can hear her kids.
Right.
It's showing you like, oh, the Darkhold's got a hold of her. I just don't think we really knew the strength of the Darkhold and what it did at the time. So this really kind of drives that home. But I do think I would say the first half hour is super condensed. Once it gets the wheel spinning, though, I think I liked it a lot more. But yeah.
So I want to talk about Scarlet Witch a little bit more. So as Kale broke down, she just have this heel turn. You think that Doctor Strange has come to talk to her because they realize that she's connected, not that she's connected, but that she could help figure out what's going on, because runes were seen. And then, she breaks the illusion, and you see that everything around her is fake, and that Doctor Strange fell for it, which...
Not even breaking the illusion. She says America's name, right? And like that's the thing that tips him off. And that felt forced. That felt like a forced error in the script for me.
What do you mean?
Not necessarily an error, but an easy trope.
Yeah.
It forced her to be a little stupid
Yes,
to get where they were trying to go. Yeah,
exactly.
Which was another one of my problems with this movie. Probably my biggest issue is that I think that Scarlet Witch, my favorite MCU character, is not handled great. So yes, I do think that there is logic from WandaVision to this, because I feel like a lot of people watch WandaVision from the wrong perspective, in the sense that I do think she was the villain the whole time, and a lot of people did not watch it like that. We discussed that on our review show for that show, and that's not how most of us watched it. She was bad. She just had good reasons for what she was doing. Quote unquote good reasons.
She admits it in this movie too. She said, making the hex was easy. She did that on purpose.
Yeah, she did it on purpose. Agatha only like gave her an excuse to do what she wanted to do, and she did it. And so, yeah, I think she was bad in that. And here, obviously, she's bad as well. The Darkhold has taken control of her, which I really don't like. I think that was a cop out. She's either bad and grieving or she's not. I don't think that using the Darkhold to say this is why she's doing this or whatever, I think that's lame. And maybe that's not what the movie was trying to say, but I feel like they said that a lot, if that wasn't what they were trying to say. And I also felt they mishandled her powers. She was able to fool Doctor Strange, who's not the Sorcerer Supreme, but he's pretty damn powerful, into believing her illusion, and she never does that again. She never does it again. She could do that all the time. And I feel like they dumb her powers down to allow things to happen that shouldn't happen. She's way too powerful to even be in this movie.
I don't think she could have gotten Doctor Strange as another illusion. You know, the old George W. Bush thing. You fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, can't be shamed again. You know? Like, I don't think he's fallen for that twice. He already realized, like, yeah, I fucked up. I fallen for that the first time.
I also think that, like, the dream walking thing, you know, if she can abandon her consciousness in one reality to take over the other, where she can be with her boys or whatever, and she knows about that, why didn't she just do that?
She was.
He means permanently.
My thing was like, why don't you find a universe where their mom isn't around? Like,
yeah,
that too, right?
That was another problem I had with the movie.
Yeah.
The rules of the multiverse are now really odd.
There are none.
Because now the way it's established is that when you dream, you're seeing alternate versions of yourself and all. That was weird. But also,
I was going to say, and they tell you that, like, this is the engine of this film. This is how everything's going to work. If there is a wacky reality where you're dreaming that you're falling off a chair nude into a gravel pit that is water, that's a whole reality where that's happening.
Which reminds me of Tony Stark's dream, where he dreamed of having a family in Avengers. Was that an alternate universe where he actually has a happy family and lived
Probably.
it?
And his dream of seeing the Avengers die to Thanos.
Yeah. Thanos seems like a universal constant, too, throughout everything, too, so...
But they're all universal constants now.
Yeah,
that's what they've established. That if you live in one universe, you're in all of them. And not only are you in all of them, but apparently you're doing the same shit. That really bothered me. Like, why is everyone the same exact way in every single version? That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I'll be honest, I think Elizabeth Olsen worked very well playing the
great.
bad guy.
She's
she does
amazing.
great in this.
She acted her Olsen-nussy out in this one.
Yep, the old family Olsen-nussy. I know
That's
it well.
I think this is the kind of story that should, in my opinion, as it relates to Scarlet Witch, should have been told over more movies than this, and bit of a slower burn than this. I understand that they've been building this basically since her first appearance in Age of Ultron, because the death of Quicksilver is what sets her on this path. She has lost a lot. In fact, she has lost the most.
Yep.
And I got to take a little credit. The Multiverse of Madness name, MOM, clearly was a reference to her mother nature and being angry about that. And I like that. But they don't do a good enough job showing that she's actually mentally ill, because she has this life with these kids that they're not real. So if they're not real, why can't you accept that they're not, like, you created them, but you feel like they're real? And in the comics, they said, well, damn, she's dealing with something. She's mentally ill. In the movie, she's grieving real loss, which is spurred on by all the loss she's already dealt with. They never really dive into that at all. She just needs help.
Yeah,
I sort of think that's what they were using the Darkhold for.
So they wouldn't have to explore that?
yeah, is it, she her mental state is sort of explored in WandaVision, and then it's exacerbated in this by the Darkhold.
I can
Yeah.
get with that.
I
I
guess.
just wish
Yeah.
the language the movie used did a better job of getting some of that across. I don't think
Yeah, I can see that.
it's not even like it was subtle in a way of like, hey, figure it out yourself. It was just
Yeah.
like whatever.
I enjoy that they don't go the mental illness route in this. Like, I much prefer her having agency in doing this because she decides to. She's grieving. This is what she's doing. She's doing it to control.
But she
I'm fine
doesn't.
with that.
The Darkhold.
Yeah, well, that's how, because they don't even kill her off in this. She is probably still alive by the end of this. So you got to keep her around
Nobody, no
somehow.
crime.
But again, like you talked about her agency. That's the problem I have with the movie. She doesn't have agency. The Darkhold is taking a hold of her. So these aren't her, actions. These aren't like WandaVision was her actions. Everything after that, the way I interpret what I saw here is that the Darkhold is influencing her decision making. So that's not necessarily her natural choice. And then also she killed a shitload of people, but they're
Yeah.
just going to say, oh, well, the Darkhold had her. So it's okay. That's a cop out.
But is
They
the
just-
Darkhold's goal to get her to just live a life in another universe?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I
Well,
think the
if-
Darkhold's much more chaotic. I think it's more like, let me exacerbate the negative aspects of you.
Yeah.
I don't think it wants. I think it just does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it has an agenda in that way.
Because then I don't think that it's necessarily controlling her. It's just affecting, like it's exacerbating the already negative thoughts and emotions that she's going through at the moment, and allowing her to act out and act on those things in a fatal way.
Right. Exactly. I
Yeah.
if she was going to do these things, I want her to do them because she wants to, right or wrong. I can get behind a redemption story for a character who did horrible things out of tremendous grief, but she killed people. Like she killed a lot of people. Everybody at Camartage died, and she did that. And now they're going to say that it was because of the Darkhold. And I don't feel like you can have your cake and eat it too, but I don't want to belabor it too much.
You think they're just seeding her eventual face turn again down the line?
Absolutely. She's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
turn more than the Big Show, dude.
Well,
So there is that big battle at Camartage, which I feel comes way too quickly. I feel like they were going full speed to get to that. And then that is what it is. It was cool, I guess.
They had cool visuals.
Yeah.
I really liked when they do like the reflection thing, and then she figures it out, and like it becomes liquidy, and she starts going through other stuff. Like
Right.
that was, I think the use of magic was inventive in a few moments.
Sometimes I would have liked a little bit more of that. And I think Raimi's capable, but we don't know the restraints.
Yeah.
But then America, out of fear and wanting to get the heck out of that situation, I believe that was the reason. Her and Strange take a trip to an alternate reality. So we go to Earth 838. And here, the Illuminati exists.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Okay. He says the Illuma and I went, you have got to be absolutely shitting me.
That's an example of something that I didn't like at all.
I hated that with every fiber of my being.
I think I ignored it because I was so excited to see what was going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
I was chomping at the bit because, like, at that point, we're also concurrently going to Wundagore.
Yeah.
That's
And
right,
that
yeah.
alone, I'm like, what do I be excited at? Like, I fucking love Wundagore.
Yeah. That was
it
sick.
was a bit of a flip flop for me.
I'd gone with my brother, and so he turns to me. He's like, "The Illuminati? What is this? Like, a rapper's involved? What are we doing here?" Like,
It is with Tupac.
yeah, they're living out their lives over there. I was excited to see who would be there. I'm like, out the gate, I'm like, all right, well, I already know that Professor X and what's his face aren't going to be in there, so I wonder who they're going to replace.
Oh,
So-
you didn't know Professor X? Like,
Sorry?
I hoped not. For
Really?
Professor
Okay.
X, I'd hope not. Like I heard the voice and everything, so I'd hoped that it wouldn't be. It was just like sort of a throwaway. So I popped off for that.
I saw. So for me, they introduced, just about everyone. Black Bolt was there. They
Ah,
introduced. They introduced Reed Richards, and I went. That was. I went
Yep.
in the theater,
I lost my shit.
and then
Me too.
and then I had Professor X's wheelchair spoiled for me on Instagram. I went, okay, back off, forget it. And then he comes in. This motherfucker comes in the yellow wheelchair.
Yeah.
Not only does he come in a yellow wheelchair, my man comes in his green suit and that black and blue striped tie with the X-Men 97 theme. I said,
Yep.
are you kidding me?
It was an Elfman take on the animated
I haven't
cartoon
popped that
theme, the
hard.
swell. I was like, oh,
It's amazing. Yeah.
I don't have any other way to describe it, but
I didn't
did that
pop
come
that
through?
hard
Okay, all right.
since Nick Fury in Iron Man 1.
Wow. There was multiple pops for me. That was pop, 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 pop. It was Peggy Carter, and I was like, oh, hello.
That's
Well, come
right.
on.
Captain
Excited
Carter.
for that. Yeah. Probably not the What If Captain Carter, it seems like. It seems
We'll
like
talk
just
about that in a
another.
moment.
This is where the multiverse gets a little confusing. It was Anson Mount as Black Girl Boltagun, and I was like, yeah, dude, I
That's
love
cool.
Black Bolt as a character. I'm a big Inhumans
Yeah.
mark. They did him dirty in the TV show, so having him, I mean, they do him dirty here too,
Yeah.
but in a good way.
Yeah.
Having him show up, I was like, yes, okay, yes. And they show Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel, which makes sense because it could have just been her instead of Carol that went on that ship.
That was the one that we thought, not we, but like that people thought
It was Tom
might
Cruise.
be, superior Iron Man.
That's right. Yeah.
Sucks for you guys. And then they do Reed Richards, and he comes in on that. It looks like Doom's time portal, where it's like a square
Yeah.
beam, and it's fucking Krasinski, and I'm like,
I couldn't
and
believe
the
it was.
suit looked good.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it was Reed Richards. I really couldn't believe it was John Krasinski.
Yeah.
I was shocked that they did that.
It was floating around. There was like memes and stuff about it, and so
He's a fan cast. It's
That's
been the fan cast for years.
he's been fan casted for that role for many years.
and
Yeah.
because of that, when it happened, I'm like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
They're gonna pull the cameras out. They'll be like, oh, you've been caught on some camera
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
I'm like, no way. They're
And then they do the
memeing,
X-Men
and
theme,
it just
like,
was.
So Marvel put out a trailer before the movie release that showed Captain Carter
Yep.
and Professor Xavier.
I didn't see that
and,
one.
Good.
Captain Marvel, the new Captain Marvel.
Really?
And I got spoiled. The comicbook.com article talked about that.
Okay.
So I already knew about that. So I was like, well, who else, what other surprises are they going to have? And they didn't disappoint. Black Bolt was very cool to see. And obviously Reed Richards, that was incredible. But with this movie, this is my feeling with this movie, they show you something cool and then it instantly sucks. The
Can't disagree
Illuminati
more.
got jobbed out. They
Yeah.
were jobbers.
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch bodied them really bad, really
Yeah.
bad.
I love it.
And Scarlet Witch is powerful enough to do that for sure. I had no issues with the fact that she could. It's just, why would you choose to do this to some of these characters we're seeing for the very first time?
I
It
think
was that weird choice.
I think it's so because they weren't going to use them again. I don't think we will get an Illuminati in the MCU.
Even if you're right, which I don't agree with that. I think this will inspire Doctor Strange to start an Illuminati in 616.
Mhm.
But even if you're right, these individual characters, right? Forget the affiliation. We've now seen them all die, and she killed them fast. So will it still matter when we see them again? Like, will they still have the same level of impact? I almost would have rather not see these characters at all if this is what was going to happen.
I
But
think
is
the
their
only
impact
one
going to be? Sorry, is the impact just going to be based off of their power sets? Like what? Like what do you mean?
I'm saying that they got murdered for free by Scarlet Witch.
I think the only one we ever see again is Reed Richards. I don't know if it's going to be Krasinski.
I don't
going
think it will
forward.
be. I think
You don't
that's
think
why
we'll
they-
see Professor X again?
Not Patrick Stewart. No, I think we might see iterations of him. I think we see the.
Oh, okay.
I think out of
Yeah.
everything that we see there, that's going to come back, it's going to be the X-Men theme. Like I think that's the only thing that's returning. I think.
But-
I kind of was hoping the after credit scene would have been Reed Richards waking up saying, "Oh, I had a weird dream," you know, like.
That would have been good.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
But see, here's the problem with that, Tyler. The way that the MCU has shown us the multiverse, they're locked in on these actors. Because, well, hear me out first. They are saying that in across the multiverse, you're the same, right? Loki showed us something different through the variants. There were different versions of Loki. But I took that to be different than this. Because every single variant or version or whatever word you want to use that they showed was the same actor in the 616 playing the same character.
We only saw one other world, though. Really,
What do you mean?
we only really go to that. We saw that incursion world, which I want to talk about incursions too. But like, here's the thing. I think
saw
the
three.
Loki thing means the Loki thing means they can do whatever.
We saw three Doctor Stranges.
It's true.
All
we saw
all
three.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, but I don't think that necessarily means that that's all that
Or
it
strangers.
would be.
I don't know.
And I also wonder if Sylvie,
Yeah,
girl Loki, is the point against that.
I think it is.
Could be.
Well, you're not gonna get Benedict Cumberbatch in paint, right? So
I mean, I think
I'd give anything to dunk Benedict Cumberbatch in paint. Give him a paint swirly. Fucking nerd.
I want to go back to them being killed off. That was the most graphically violent thing that's ever been in a Marvel movie.
yeah, I felt like it.
Yo, the way
And-
they take out Black Bolt was insane.
Oh, dude. I'm not sure that's how his power set works, but fine. It's a multiverse. Who cares?
Yeah, right.
I think it has to. If he can't hum, then I think he's fine.
It's also like his mouth is gone, so the first thing he does is scream. This guy
Right?
who knows better than to use his voice always.
It
was
was
still
cool how
fucking cool.
they did show in the flashback what his powers were for like the uninitiated. Like this is what this
Yeah.
guy can do. If he talks, you're fucked up. You're done. Which I
It
think
was
was like a
just like a
direct
whisper.
nod to like World War Hulk when he's fighting Hulk. Or I think he says "I'm sorry" in the middle of it and like destroys Hulk at one point.
But why did it erase Doctor Strange? Why, like,
Oh, it just
I think
evaporated him.
utterly obliterates him.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
the idea? Yeah.
Because even like the ground beneath him started just disappearing too.
wouldn't it just shatter his body? I thought that was how Black Bolt's power worked.
I think he was like atomized.
Yeah, that's how I read it. I always thought Black Bolt was like so much vibration that it just destroys you by the atom, essentially, depending on
Bit by
how
bit.
loud he wants to be. But seeing Reed get popped like a pimple, seeing Peggy get sliced in half, Captain Marvel gets crushed. I was like, yo, they're leaning into the horror. Let's fucking go. These characters don't matter. It's a multiverse. I don't care. Let's go. Let's do it.
I thought the fight.
I'm gonna
the
see Reed
fight-
Richards again. It's fine. Like, my only gripe is like if that's how you're introducing your main audience to Reed Richards, that's a little weird. Especially if you have plans for the Fantastic Four down the line. It's a weird intro. But as somebody who has more experience with that, I'm fine with it from where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Illuminati get handled, and then it's really just Scarlet Witch trying to find America, chasing down Doctor Strange and America. We get a sequence where they're underground, like
These
under the
tunnels.
Illuminati's base, and I thought it was pretty cool for the horror aspect for sure. But again, it was another situation where it's like, would this really stop Scarlet Witch? Like, there's like doors that are supposed to be hard to get through, I guess, and then she gets hammered by the ceiling coming down. But
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch's power, like, and again, she's so powerful that I have zero I have zero belief in that. I don't believe that she would be stopped by that.
And she was also 6 feet away from them the whole time they were being
Yeah.
chased. Like she was doing that to the doors, but she couldn't do that to Doctor Strange 6 feet away from him.
And even more to the point, she doesn't have to chase them. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
Fly.
she could just make them be there. Like she controls reality,
Yeah.
and she's empowered by the Darkhold.
That's just the problem though. She's just overpowered, so you have to limit it in some aspect, and it will never make sense. Honestly, that's the only problem with her. That's the problem with her in the comics too. You know, she's too powerful.
That's why I thought House of M did it so well, because she's just straight up altered reality.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
she's not beaten by a fight, which this movie does the same. She's not beaten in a fight. She's, realizes that she's wrong, but also then blames Magneto and, handles it how she wants to. But no one can really beat her in a fight. And so having her have a goal in this film that involves like a physical person, like getting that person, it's too easily achievable, I think, for me to suspend my disbelief, to accept that she wouldn't be able to accomplish what she wants. And there were scenes like this that made that harder and harder to accept.
Well, she even says it outright. She's like, well, I didn't want to go get her. I could, but I'd rather send my minions and these monsters and do whatever than me lift the finger.
Why?
Which
I
felt
don't
weird.
remember that.
No?
I don't remember that, but even then, like, that's just straight up dumb, because doesn't she want her kids? Like, she's
Yeah.
done a
Right.
full heel turn, but she's willing to sit back and like let minions do it.
There was the scene where she's like, I've been nice, I've been playing nice, or whatever it is.
That was earlier on, but yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah, that was I think just before the Kamertage battle. She says, "Just know that whatever happens from here, I'm holding back." Something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
I've been reasonable, something
Yeah,
like that.
I've been
exactly.
reasonable. Yeah.
Cool threat, but
Exactly. Yeah, like, yeah, but don't you want your kids?
yeah.
So yeah, and then we do see a bunch of different Doctor Stranges. We haven't really spoken much about him, so we should probably do that. I really, yeah,
That cape, comfortable as fuck. Sorry.
I really liked Doctor Strange in this movie. I had one major problem with him, but I'll get to that in a moment. I think Benedict Cumberbatch has really come into his own with this character. I like that he got to play slightly different versions of him. Zombie Doctor Strange was a lot of fun. I thought that was super cool. And I feel like Sam Raimi is probably one of the only directors who would have done that that way.
Absolutely.
And so I appreciated his flair in that sequence. But I do have one issue. So the movie is saying that Doctor Strange is an arrogant person, and that, he's the one that has to hold the knife. Christine says that to him repeatedly. And I feel like that goes against the actual character that we've seen in these movies, because in Infinity War, he specifically doesn't do that. Like, he gives over the time stone so that they can win. He's not the person who drives the victory in Endgame. In No Way Home, he knows that doing the spell for Spider-Man is not right, but he does it to help this kid who he really cares about. So I feel like they kind of took him backwards without showing why he would be in this place. Or they said this a lot about him, but it wasn't actually true of him.
So I would disagree, because I think the Time Stone is a good instance of it, where Strange is so sure that he knows the answers to everything that he gives up the Time Stone, which causes Vision's death, which causes Thanos to get the Infinity Gauntlet, which causes the snap. We even see his old doctor coworker, who apparently the normal person knows that what happened on Titan for some reason.
Oh yeah.
Which is, I think, a little weird. But he's like, did you have to give him that Time Stone? Like, everyone knows that Doctor Strange, he's the one who makes the call. Everyone else be damned.
But it's not a matter of him wanting that. It literally had to be that way. He knew that was correct. It's not a guessing game.
I think it's hard to see that as the average person, though. You know, it's sort of like
Yeah.
what a doctor has to let someone die. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, well, that's my loved one. What do you mean you had to let them die?
Yeah.
And I think that's where the arrogance comes from.
There's I think from an internal consistency perspective, I think for me it makes sense that this was the story that they were trying to tell him. I think it's because he is different, and I think that you can be different across the multiverse. It's just that this was the conflict that they set up for him was, well, if we believe you and we accept you and we allow you to help us, because that's essentially what it is. It wasn't him for lack of trying to help, but rather lack of people allowing him and accepting the fact that he will be willing to do so altruistically. And that was the conflict set up. So I think that I don't think that the message or the takeaway is that they're all the same. It's that they are different dependent on the universe. There are similarities, and sometimes those end up being similar processes or similar actions. But ultimately, there can be and likely are fundamental differences between each of these individual characters across the multiverse.
You feel like they proved that with Doctor Strange? Because I don't.
I think that was as much as they were telling us that was so that he could prove them wrong, because in the end the Darkhold gets destroyed, the Book of Vishanti gets destroyed. All that stuff is the things that they were afraid of. Those things don't come true.
But he does the same things, though. He does the same things that the other Doctor Stranges did. In
But
terms
that's
of
the same outcome, though.
But that I mean, outcome is outcome. He does the same thing.
But here, the one thing that he doesn't do, and I think that's the integral part of it. But I don't think it's arrogance, really. That's the theme here. I think it's control is the theme. Doctor Strange always has to be the one in control, holding a knife, and making those calls. Where we saw in the beginning, Defender Strange decided, oh, I'm going to take your powers because you can't do it. I'm the only one who can do this. I only trust myself. His story is that he learns, I can't do that anymore. It never works out. I need to trust other people, which allows America to actually control her powers at the end. He doesn't have to take her powers and kill her. And that's the change that he makes compared to all the other Doctor Strangers, which actually winds up saving the situation.
Because they would have taken her power.
They would have taken her power, or, yeah, exactly, yeah. Or maybe he wouldn't be able to control it, who knows?
Sure.
But I think that's the key turn that they were kind of leaning throughout it.
I think that's a problem I have with Doctor Strange as a character in general. When you actually spend time with him, it's like you have to give him a character trait. And I think, for me anyway, when a character like Doctor Strange is relatable, he gets less interesting.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree. I like the comic book version of Doctor Strange circa Jonathan Hickman's Avengers, who's like a post-human godlike figure who's not meant to be understood by people. I agree.
Yeah.
So the movie ends with, America just, again, figuring out how to, use her powers in a proactive way, how she wants to, which I loved. I thought the movie earned that moment throughout with her. So that was
Did you guys
really cool.
catch the little Easter eggs in Wanda's house? There's two instances we see the boys, they're watching TV. The first one, they're watching Oswald, which is Walt Disney's creation before Mickey Mouse that he lost the rights to because he sold them. So it's essentially a Mickey Mouse variant in an alternate universe, which I thought was a nice little fun bit.
Oh, interesting.
And the second one has evil Wanda coming out while they're watching Snow White with the evil witch.
I caught the Snow White, yeah.
So I thought those two things were like, all right, Disney finally throwing some Disney shit into their Marvel movies, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, and then Scarlet Witch, sees that these children, they're afraid of her. They don't want her. She's not their mother. The Scarlet Witch is not their mother. Wanda Maximoff is, and that's not who she is now. And I thought that was a good moment. For some reason, her grief, I think I felt it was overshadowed for me by the like genericness of her villainy.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to like ride with her grief more, see her like in WandaVision, she's grieving Vision, and there's a vulnerability to that, and we see that play out over several episodes in different ways. But it's interesting and vulnerable. Whereas this is just like, yeah, I'm mad. People died. I'm pissed.
Yeah, yeah.
I can definitely see that, but for me, I think what really sold me for Scarlet Witch and specifically with what you're talking about, it's the culmination of WandaVision, but also the dream that she has at the very beginning, where she's got the boy, she's tucking him in or whatever, and then she wakes up. And as she wakes up, her hair is a brighter color, the room is really bright, the music is really nice, and then as she realizes where she is, everything fades. It turns gray, the light dims, and the music gets. I thought that was incredible.
Yeah,
I think that works to set us up, but I agree. I would have wanted to see more of that than the anger and then the like desperation, or at least desperation within the context of I'm sad about my kids, not just I'm out to get my kids, which I think, given the context of the Darkhold, probably makes sense. But for me to connect with Wanda there, I probably would have needed to see more of the grieving.
I also think this is a tough one if you haven't seen WandaVision.
Yeah. I think enough is there for you to get it.
Yeah. You might have to work to see the heel turn, but
yeah,
I think it's enough is there.
So that's pretty much the movie. Doctor Strange has saved the day along with America, and that's it. We don't know what the future holds for Scarlet Witch. It's left in an ambiguous position. We see
she got crushed.
No, nobody, no crime, son.
What are you talking about? Wendigo fell right on top of her head. Who could have survived that?
Zombie Doctor Strange. Who else?
We didn't talk about the evil quote unquote Doctor Strange.
Their fight was.
Oh, I was gonna say it might be my favorite fight scene in a Marvel movie.
That was rad.
It might be my favorite fight scene.
It was like a Fantasia sort of thing going on there with different types of music. Mark, you probably were into that, huh?
Oh, right, the music fight.
That music fight was hot, dude.
Oh,
the
it was
notes,
so good.
It was cool because like it happened those same accent like chords that you called out, which is like ding, right, and they vibrate, and then the papers all fly up, and then they all stop. I'm like, oh, maybe he's gonna like fold the papers up and do whatever,
Yeah.
and then the notes just start to peel off. I'm like, bro, yes. Yeah. Then they throw him around. He opens up a staff, catches him, bounces them back off. Oh, that was so good.
All to music that those notes roughly represent too.
Yep.
It seemed like anyway.
That was a wild fight. Those were the inventive parts of the magic. Like that was like cool. That's the shit that I expect and see, not the I'm gonna build a shield of whatever runes and like that feels boring.
We've seen him do a couple new things in this too. He was sending out snake arms. He had a weird kind of demon summon to catch some debris in the first scene. So he was doing some different things in it. I just wish we got more of it.
This wasn't the Doctor Strange from What If, though. And pretty sure that wasn't the same Captain Carter from What If. Nope. They haven't commented yet on her because of the spoiler nature, but it's definitely not the same Doctor Strange.
Well, his universe died, right?
His universe did die.
Yeah.
At the end of What If,
that makes sense.
They're kind of all together as like the Avengers of the multiverse. So they're kind of already like, I figured that's what that Captain Carter's doing, you know?
Yeah.
With the multiverse, though, you can have a bajillion different Captain Carters. where a strand of hair is different. You know, like that's just that's the problem and the solution for the multiverse.
I'm just not sure why they wouldn't utilize those characters here, just because What If seems to so seamlessly set up what this movie deals with. It's kind of interesting that they chose to not utilize them in any way.
Once I heard it was a cartoon, I realized nothing of it would matter in the grand scheme
Maybe
of it,
so.
which sucks. I was hoping that one thing they can keep out of that is the way to resurrect Killmonger, but even then, at the end of that, he goes full heel again. So
Well, I mean, Killmonger's an option now, so
we'll see.
Yeah, everything's on the table. The door is blown wide open, and I think this movie really solidified that for sure.
Yeah, No Way Home blew open the door. Multiverse of Madness blew up the house. So,
And Secret Wars is going to blow up the planet.
Yeah, I was going to say, where do you think this is going? I mean, the direct naming of things as incursions is right out of Hickman's Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now it looks like Strange has created an incursion because, I mean, I guess we'll talk about the first after credits. We probably won't talk about the second. First being that Charlize Theron is Clea, which is...
yeah, hell
Man,
yeah, dude.
I was like, yo, what?
If they have a relationship in this movie, I'm going to be upset.
what?
Why?
You're telling me Benedict Cumberbatch is going to bag Charlize Theron? Are you kidding me right
Get
now?
over
Absolutely
it.
not. No,
Get over
no
it,
way
dude.
in hell.
We get it. You're
One
jealous.
of USA Today's sexiest man alive, actually, Benedict Cumberbatch.
The man has no chin. He's the chinless wonder.
Don't need it.
More like Dr. Chin
Don't need
Listen.
in that he doesn't have one, and he's not a real doctor.
it. But honestly, I think with the next movie, I think we go deeper into the multiverse. I think we start actually visiting places, not just the one or one and a half that we visited.
I'd be
I think we
willing
go
to
full
bet.
for it.
I'd be willing to bet this is where we start seeing like the astral plane stuff,
Yeah,
like the
or
real one.
we're going into the quantum verse too with Ant-Man soon. So, Kang is involved in this, and timelines and in multiverse are essentially synonymous at this point. So
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think Kang will take Doom's place for
that's what I was gonna
Secret
say.
War?
I think so. It sucks because I'm such a Doctor Doom fan, but I think that makes the most logical sense. And that's how you get the mutants into it. I think that's how you throw Deadpool into the mix. Like, I think that's where we're going. I wouldn't be surprised if we get the Fantastic Four movie and they're in a different universe. And that's just the Secret Wars is what combines everything together. Is essentially a reboot.
Well, I don't know about the Fantastic Four because there's definitely a moment where Reed Richards first appears, and I caught it in between like people cheering, but it was like, oh yeah, didn't you guys fly off in the '60s or whatever? Isn't that the ultimate?
He said, didn't you guys have a hit in the 60s? It was a joke about them being like
Yeah.
a band.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, so
Oh,
like
okay.
like the Beatles, the Fab Four. Yeah,
Okay.
or five. How many people are in the Beatles?
4.
Only 2 now.
Fair.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of room to speculate about the future of this stuff, and I think we'll do that a lot on the main show. I think that this end teaser is more for like the next step of the multiverse storyline rather than Doctor Strange 3. I think they will probably have to come and tell the Avengers, like, hey, this is what's happening. We need to get ready. Especially when they encounter Kang, because Kang is clearly the endgame boss for this phase. And let's not forget, there's not just one Kang. There are as many Kangs as there are universes.
Infinite.
And we're going to see that collide. So the incursion angle makes a lot of sense. All said, I gave this movie a B when we did it in the ranking. That's where I slotted it. I don't feel any different about that now. I do need to see it again, to be fair. I think people are getting a lot more out of this than I did. And I'm not sure why that is.
Sean,
Exactly.
can I just ask that you check out Evil Dead, at least 1, preferably 1 and 2, and then rewatch this, because I think that is where my enjoyment really came from. It's just knowing Sam Raimi's style. Honestly, I think Is this movie an S for me? I think so because I enjoyed it for what it was. I think it's a good movie? Not necessarily. But it's a movie I enjoy.
Interesting.
You know, I think if I'm looking at this like on paper, like for the maybe an A, I wouldn't go a B, but like for me, it hit the right notes for me. But I think you might enjoy it a lot more if you can get a little more of his, not discography, whatever the hell it is.
His flavor of filmography.
Filmography, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly reasonable, and I might just do that. But I had a lot of problems with the movie from a structure standpoint, a pacing standpoint, a character standpoint. Like I was so excited for this movie that I thought I was gonna fly through the AMC roof whenever they revealed the Illuminati, and I came out thinking, man, what did I just watch? And I don't know if I've ever been that underwhelmed by something I thought I was going to really, really love. And that sucks. It's still a B. Like it's not, I don't think it's a bad movie, but I thought it was going to be more. And I just wish it had handled Scarlet Witch better. I really do. And I wish it hadn't done the Illuminati. I think you can have a lot more movie if you cut all of that out and just let it focus on the primary characters. I don't think you needed that.
Man, it is wild being on this side of the fence about a Marvel movie. Is this what you guys are like?
It's the
Is it
multiverse
like
of
this all
madness.
the time?
Pretty much.
Damn.
Kale, when Papa Pizza, when he gets the spell on him where he starts hitting himself. That's Evil Dead 2. That's the hand.
Oh
right
yeah.
there.
Oh
Just like,
yeah.
Also, those pizza
I-
balls, they look pretty damn good. I kind of
They
want to eat
did
one of
look
them
really
pizza
good.
balls.
I was thinking about that.
Yo, if
I'm like,
Disney doesn't put
how
that
does
in
one
the
beat
parks,
that? Yeah.
they're definitely doing that.
I,
get the
man,
S for
when I
pizza
saw
balls.
him, I couldn't believe it.
Did
I
you
said,
catch
"Of
the Bruce
course,
Campbell, Sean?
It's Bruce Campbell.
The second spoiler, or sorry, the second spoiler, the second after credit scene, that was cheesy.
It was fine.
Sam Raimi film.
Yeah.
It's over. Okay,
Yep.
I get it.
I think it's a lot better than most of the after credit scenes we get out of Marvel these days.
I wanted something though. I stuck around for it. Give me
You
something
got
more
Charlize
than just.
Theron.
Well, yeah,
Instantly
but
makes it
like-
one of the top post-credit scenes of all time.
But I stuck around an extra like 5 minutes for that second one, and that wasn't worth it.
Like
Yeah,
you
they
weren't
just made me
gonna
hungry for
anyway.
pizza balls.
Fair enough. Touche.
They've been doing those swerves for a while, like the Captain America one at the end of Homecoming.
Mm.
Was it the video?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
video. Yeah.
yeah.
There was one other, but I can't recall it. But yeah, ratings.
85.
Wait, what is the score we're using? We're doing.
Oh yeah,
100?
75.
Oh, out of 100. Okay.
75.
Yeah.
That's for me.
95 for me. Fuck it.
Damn.
I give it a good-
Wow.
I want to say. I'd say 90. Yeah, 9. 10, 4.5. Yeah.
This is probably one of the first Marvel films since the first ones. You know, I know I said that before, but this is probably one of the first ones in recent memory that I am actually thinking of going to see again.
Damn. This is
Wow.
the first Marvel movie that I think I've heard you speak positively of.
Since
Oh,
this
I
show
know.
started, yeah.
Almost
That's right.
entirely.
Yeah.
What
As
variant
long
of
as
Kale
we've been
did we
friends.
get?
I really love this movie.
Oh, multiversal Kale. Oh shit.
I am excited
I
though.
got it.
Like, does this mean Marvel movies going forward can be more of a director's vision, for better or for worse? You know, we'll see. I mean, we have Taika Waititi on Love and Thunder coming up, which seems to be very specifically that.
Yeah, very
So-
much.
I think we've been getting that for a while already. I really do.
I guess maybe not as loud and in your face as Sam Raimi, but that's also Sam Raimi. So, yeah. Like Coogler's coming out with Wakanda Forever, which I'm sure is going to be a very Coogler thing. There's a sense of style there that is Coogler. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Do you think what movies down the line are going to deal with what?
Quantum Mania is where we'll see what's going to happen, I think. which is funny that it's an Ant-Man movie, but
It's weird, but Phase 4 will end without an Avengers movie or a like summation film. Like I don't think we're gonna really know for sure. If Fantastic Four actually comes out as a Phase 4 movie,
If it
then
is
I think
Phase
obviously
4?
that will end Phase 4 and that will take us into what's next. But we're really not gonna know a lot until Phase 5 gets revealed.
Doom, man. I'm ready for Doom.
Me too.
Hmm.
Last word, Marco.
I'm just wondering where
Where do we go from
I
here?
feel like they're gonna make appearances in other movies now. Specifically Doctor Strange. He's gonna start poking around like Hulk or something, where he just pops up in different things.
Yeah, we got the TV shows too. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Eternals too, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Lots of MCU to come. Lots of Comics Pals to come. Thank you guys so much for listening to this review. We love doing these for you guys. Let us know your thoughts about the review, our conversation. Where do you stand with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness? This movie has been divisive for sure. Not just here on this podcast, but across the internet. So sound off in the comments below. There's a comment section wherever you're listening to this. Just like it's 5 p.m. somewhere, there's a comment section somewhere. So find it and leave us your thoughts on this film and our thoughts about it. Leave your rating also. If you are listening on YouTube, youtube.com/thecomicspals, subscribe for free, like the video, share it with your friends. All that's free to do, and it helps us out a lot more than it costs you. If you want to hear our thoughts about other things, not just this movie, but other movies, other comic book movies, comic books themselves, what happens within the industry, listen to our main show. Drops every single Monday, goes live on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/thecomicspals. If you want to hear our reviews for comics, you can do so by listening every Thursday at twitch.tv/thecomicspals, 6 p.m. Eastern for Pals Pulls. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you. Until next time, take care, guys.
See you in July.